Hi guys, in this video I want to share another dream that I had, and before I share it I want to read a couple of I want to read three different passages of scripture. Actually four of them, but I'm gonna read three of them first, and then the last one is gonna be like the one that I think it's more important to understand the dream. The first one is Matthew 24, verse 10, and it reads, "And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another." Then on Mark 13:12, it says, "Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, and children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death." Luke 21:16 through 17, it says, "And ye shall be betrayed both by parents and brethren and kinsfolk and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake." And now, in all of these verses that I just read, they speak about how people will be in terms of their attitude and how people will react and behave in the end times, right? Which we are already in. Well, basically, we're entering the worst part. So, and then the fourth scripture that I want to read is Matthew 24 verse 12. And this was the one that the Lord really put me, like this phrase was very important in the context of the dream, and the Lord reminded me of it when I had the dream. And it reads on Matthew chapter 24 verse 12, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Okay. I'll say it again. "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Right? So basically, there's not going to be many modest people left in the end times. Like, almost impossible. So, and now I'm going to share the dream. And I had this dream on March 29, 2021. In this dream, the Lord helped me understand in a personal level why in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, it tells that the love of many will grow or wax cold. I understood this in person, and believe me, it's something that I don't want to live in real life when this happens. In the dream, in the start of the dream, it had like three different parts. Well, it was actually four different parts, and the second part was personally for me, and it didn't have much to do with the rest of the dream, but it had to do it was kind of personal. And so it had four parts minus that part, so I'm going to tell three different parts. Okay, so in this dream I was with two family members in a hospital, and I knew many things instantly as the dream began. I knew that I was in some future time, I don't know when, and also in the hospital we were in a line with other people to take a medication, right, which is the same type of medication that is being spread today globally. I also knew that this medication was not necessarily the, the current one being offered today, like exactly that one. I also understood that the government had they had created another health crisis because this is they are behind it, and they were now doing more propaganda. They were doing more propaganda for this new medication. I also thought, or I had the idea in the dream that they did it because there was like a, I don't know if it was this, but it was like a second COVID or some other similar disease, but it was as though another pandemic happened again. So it was back to, I guess, lockdowns and things like that. So it was like another pandemic happened again, and the elites were, the government was really pushing for it this time. The propaganda for this medication. At the end of the dreams, I returned to the hospital and saw other things, which I will explain in the last part. After this scene, I was with one of the family members, and I was in a car with her, and we were driving towards the grocery store because we had to buy some things. Although we didn't want to go there, but we had to because in the dream we had a need and we had to buy things, I guess to survive or something. But it was like we weren't starving, but it was like we had to go buy some things even if we didn't want to. So this part, this scene was pretty quick. It had many details, but I saw many things. That the Lord showed me many things and let me know lots of things about the beast system and how his technology will be. I mean, he referring to the beast, not God. Like how the beast technology is going to be. Now, I must say that even though people think that it will be like having, they think of the future as having flying cars everywhere, or like some futuristic movies put it, is nothing like this, at least in the city that I was in. Now, there was a bit more advancement in technology, like that's something that I noted, but when I looked at my surroundings, at the city that I was in, people, it didn't look shocking at all. Like, for example, I could tell what was a plane, a car, a highway, buildings, stores, and pretty much all infrastructure. The only difference was that they belonged to the beast. One thing that remained in the dream that stood out to me was that all that belonged to the beast, whether it was a building or a car or something, everything that belonged to the beast was dirty. Like, yeah, dirty. Now, when I say dirty, I mean that I could see, for example, buildings, cars, and every object that belonged to the beast was completely covered with these thin black scratches. So it was like everything was just slightly dirty, both physically dirty and spiritually dark. In this dream, I knew that the beast system was still expanding its rule, so it didn't have full power yet. It didn't have its full power over the whole world. And I saw, well, quote unquote saw, I was watching in my thoughts. During this dream, I saw in thoughts how the beast, which was in the dream, it looked like a man in fancy in a jacket, that people used to go work, and he was he was wearing a jacket, and I saw how this beast would offer an upgrade to a store or a business, and the beast was dealing. I saw that this entity, this person who I knew was the beast, he was dealing mostly with capturing businesses so that they could use his technology as a commodity for their services. So it was like the beast wasn't in full control. Now I did see I did see by the context of the dream that the beast had complete control of the media, and it wasn't directly shown to me, but by the context of the dream and what I saw on the TVs and the stores and places that I went, I saw that the beast was you know like announced everywhere, and it was like him. Like he was very important, but he wasn't in full power yet. So, and I saw that he was offering his technology. Like it was like he had a technology that no one else had apparently, and he was simply selling this technology to businesses, whether big or small. It didn't matter. It was like he wanted to capture as many businesses as possible with his technology, so that it could be his. Now I also knew that if a certain store wanted to apply his technology to their establishment, they had to pay a price, and the price was that everything in that business had to become slightly dirty or messy and kind of rugged. So the businesses, even if they were upgraded with more technology, they had to. It was on purpose. Like, for example, if I owned the store and I wanted the beast, I wouldn't. But as an example, if I owned the store and the beast would come to the store and offer me a service, like I don't know, let's say with smart cameras, for example, because it had to do with technology. So if he offered me a service and I said yes, then my store, instead of, it would have more technology, but it had to be a little bit messy. I don't know why, but it was like they had to pay a price to do that. And they also, the store couldn't be more sleek, modern. It had to be rugged, a kind of dirty, messy, crowded. It had to be a bit more like depressing. I don't know. But yeah, I knew that businesses had to pay a price, their quality had to go down for the technology to go up. It felt like the stores had to downgrade themselves, but at the same time receive this technology. Fortunately, I also knew that some stores were still permitted to opt out and not accept it if they wanted. So that's why I say that I understood that the beast system was not yet in full power, because it permitted people to choose, well, quote unquote choose, but they permitted the stores to choose yes or no. But eventually, I also knew that at the end they all had to submit. Like everybody had to submit if they didn't want to die. So it was like he was putting on, obviously, this false sense of choice, but it was not a choice, because he knew that those who said no, they would be persecuted. But at this dream, in this moment, I saw that there was people could still say yes or no, and that's also why in the Bible it says in the book of Revelations that the beast causeth all to receive his mark, because in the end, it's gonna be like, and you have to do what the beast says. You have to comply. So at the end of this scene, before I entered the store with my family member, I perceived something I've never experienced in any dream I've had. In the dream I began to believe that my family member was the one that was dreaming, and that the Lord had put me there to explain to her what was happening as the dream went on. It was very weird because I felt that I was there in her dream, and when I woke up, then I realized that I was the one dreaming. And that's why this dream shocked me so much, because it felt even more real, because it felt real in my spirit and my body, because I thought that I was in somebody else's dream. It was real for me as well, like more real. So when we entered the store, I saw I saw a lot of what I experienced there was basically Matthew 24:12, which is, let me find it, which is, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So in this store, I experienced that same thing. I saw in the store there were middle-aged adults and some older than their 50s. There was a woman that positioned herself next to us and just started to randomly scream curses, and then she went to another person and started arguing. This was how everybody was in this dream. People threw metal cans at each other like food cans. They provoked each other, screamed and pushed each other. It was simply because it seemed fun to them. And in this dream, I saw that in this society there were no social rules. There was no moral, no ethics, no nothing. So you were allowed to do whatever you desired in any public space simply because you wanted to, no matter how bad it was. And it was chaotic. And the thing is that in this dream, if you didn't have an attitude, like if you didn't have an attitude, like even for a bit of defense, you would completely break down in this type of society. Like people would have a breakdown because they couldn't stand this this random evil, which had no, it had no, like, it was like just random evil. Like people didn't know why people were screaming at each other, and they just did it because it was something that was allowed. So anyway, now in this dream, people right now, today's October 4th, 2021, like people today are like angels compared to the people in these times. And one aspect that I saw that the Lord showed me in my thoughts while I was in the store, the Lord showed me that in this type of society that will come, this will come. In this type of society, it was prevalent that if you had children and you went to a store or public place, I saw that strangers would plant themselves next to your children and they would start to scream as many disgusting curse words as they could before the parent pushed them aside and kept walking. And I saw that their motive in their heart was so that the children would be exposed to as much foul speech as possible, so that their minds would become polluted. Like that was everybody's mindset there. So if you have children in this future beast society, please take care of what they hear and see, but especially what they hear. Now this reminds me of another verse in Matthew 24, where it says, "Woe to the mothers and those who give suck in those days." That's on the King James Version, because it will be the worst time for children. So that's one of the reasons why the Lord said that, because God knows that it's going to be a bad time for children, especially. So as we progressed in this store, I started to try to buy what we needed. So we were my family member and I, we were and around the store we were in the aisles and looking at boxes, and I was explaining to my family member about the beast system because I thought that I was in her dream. I didn't know the dream was mine. I thought I was in dream and I thought that I was there. And I was explaining to her about the beast system and about what the Bible said of those times as we were there. Because in the dream, because I thought that she was the one that was dreaming and she was kind of in shock of everything, and I was explaining this to my family member because I wanted to explain the dream to her. Like, I wanted her to understand what she was seeing, but actually it was I was the one that was seeing this, but I was explaining to her what was happening so that she could understand. And when I tried to end what I was saying, because we were talking, there were suddenly in the store there were 3 small tremors, like small earthquakes, and the people around us, they were somewhat alarmed or cautious, like they were kind of not alarmed, but they were slightly woken up, and they weren't screaming as many people would do today. They were, the Lord made me understand that they were so wicked that not even earthquakes would make them repent or at least fear for their lives. Now I see why in the book of, I didn't understand this, but now I do, that in the book of Revelations it tells of many times, after the 7 seals, the trumpets, and the cups of God's wrath, that no one, it says that those who were not of the Lord, that no one repented of their sins, and it says the sins that they just kept committing the sins. They didn't repent of their worshipping idols, of blaspheming. They actually, in Revelations, it tells that they blasphemed God, right? Many instances, because that's how wicked they were. At one point in the dream, we were buying some frozen meat in the food section during all this madness, and then came one of the janitors of the store, and he had a cleaning spray in his hand, and I saw that he went to people, random people, and he started to spray in their faces and also all over their body, like simply to annoy them, and then he ran away laughing. Then he went to me and he sprayed me and on my face, and he also sprayed my family member who was with me. But my family member, she was just trying to focus on buying, because I knew that if she focused on her surroundings, like she was on the brink of having a breakdown, like she was very shocked. So she was buying the food, and I saw that he also tried to spray her, but I tried to block him from doing that. And when he sprayed me, I was so angry that I took 2 cans of food and I threw it at his face twice. He ran away, but I tried to throw them at him, and I couldn't. He ducked, and the cans didn't hit him, and he laughed, and he just went away, and he kept spraying everybody. And so, yeah. And I also kind of saw that my family member that was with me was kind of traumatized and in shock of all this. And before we exited the store, I was shown the upgrade, the particular upgrade that the beast system made to this store that we were. It was just a normal grocery store, but I was shown the upgrade technology that was brought to this store, which we need to understand. And the store, the outside, the walls they had those thin scratches everywhere. It looked like as if, imagine you had a white desk, a white wooden desk, and you took a pencil and you started to put random lines everywhere, like just scratching lines with your pencil. Well, that was the dirty that I saw, the dirt, but it was also spiritually dirty. I saw a younger man who was going to check out the store. He was going to check out what he was buying, and I saw that this man had already bought his things and he was going to pay in the scan and go machine. But the way that people pay was a bit different. He was carrying the stores. He was carrying one of the new, because the upgrade of the beast, the beast's upgrade that he did to the store was had to do with the carts that people, the shopping carts and the conveyor belts that people put the merchandise in. So this guy, he was using the store's new shopping cart that the beast had given to the store. And the shopping cart was made of metal, and instead of having holes where one can see what's inside the cart, it was completely sealed with planks with stainless steel or iron planks, except for the bottom. The bottom had like a red. I didn't see the bottom, but I wasn't able to see what was in the bottom, but from below the cart there was like a red neon light around it, like the one that's beneath cars sometimes, that people put neon lights in beneath the cars. And I could feel, I don't know why, but beneath the car, the part where there was red light, I felt a lot of heat. Like it was so hot, there was a lot of heat coming from under the cart. And the cart also made an annoying humming sound, like an engine, like a steady engine. And what was new about it was that it had magnetic or motion sensors. So, and I saw that like the cart was, I guess, like a smart shopping cart, something like that. I saw another person cross, and the young man was taking the shopping cart towards the scan and go machine, and I saw a young woman with gym clothes, and she was crossing the path of that the man was walking. And I saw that when I saw the shoes of the woman with her tennis shoes, and I only saw from like her shoes, her feet, and she walked in front of the cart while the cart was going towards her. And the cart, this smart shopping cart, because it had sensors, and the cart automatically repelled itself from the person and didn't bump into the person. So it was like a new thing. It was kind of stupid, but that was part of the upgrade that the beast made to the store. And I could also, while the young man was using the new shopping cart, I could hear the loudspeakers of the store announcing the cart, and they were saying things like, to keep our customers safe, whatever, and like they were announcing this new cart. And when the guy went to the register, instead of putting the products in the conveyor belt, and he would, I don't know why, but this was another technology. Like he would put the cart close to the side of the register, like you take the cart and you are going to pass to the other side, and you put the cart very, very close to the side of the conveyor belt, I guess where the cashier is. And somehow, I don't know why, but this technology, like when he did that, it's hard to explain because it was so weird and out of this. It's not something that objects can do. And of course we know that the beast will, part of the many deceptions that the devil will put in the end times is technology that can do crazy things, and people are gonna fall for this because it looks so unreal, and it's something that they people because of the movies they don't like. People are starting, they think they don't like reality. They like things that are not human, things that are not that things that God did not create, right? So I saw that this new technology, when the guy put the cart next to the conveyor belt where the cashier is, somehow the cart was at the right, and the conveyor belt was at the left, and they were next to each other, touching each other. And when he did that, the cart, the part that was the part in between, they blended like liquid, like literally it was like imagine that the side of the cart touching the conveyor belt suddenly melted into liquid. I don't know how, but it melted into liquid, and also the conveyor belt melted, and they blend into one thing, like one single machine. They blended into liquid, and they hardened again, and they turned solid. And then the guy took the cart and he kept walking, and it was like the scan and go machine was attached to the cart like a single machine. And he actually, the quote unquote benefit was that he could pay like literally, the machine is called scan and go, but it was like too literal, because he could walk out of the store and he would be paying. I don't know how, but so yeah, this was the beast upgrade to this particular store. And also the store, it was kind of dirty. The lights were dim, kind of. There was a lot of red annoying lights everywhere. It was kind of damp. There was kind of humidity inside the store, which is weird because that damages the food. And also the walls were made of this very cheap stainless steel metal, so it was very bad quality. So as I said before, the stores had to pay a price to get this technology. Okay, so those were the two parts, and now finally in this last part I returned to the same hospital that I was at the beginning. Remember, I was doing my family members and I were making this line for this medication, and we were in the same line for this new inoculation, and we were waiting. As we were waiting in the line, everybody was kind of tense. My brother asked me something about the medication, but I didn't respond. He asked me something out loud, and there was also people around us. Everybody was kind of quiet, but there were sounds from the televisions everywhere, and the doctors speaking to each other. But everybody was kind of quiet, looking around. And yeah, my brother asked me something about this medicine, and I didn't respond because what he asked me out loud was something about its danger, which is true. But I knew that, and the place we were and the society that we were, it was not illegal, but it was like a social, I guess, like a social taboo or something like that. Like nobody was allowed to say anything in public against this medication, or you could get in trouble. Like, I don't know, people would start to gang against you. So because I didn't respond, because I wanted to keep it quiet so that there would be no suspicion against us, and because I didn't respond, he asked me again the same question, but I told him whispering, I told him to stop asking. And then I stopped speaking, and I saw that a stranger came near us, and he was eavesdropping on us to hear what we were saying. And he came to us and he asked us in a very scary way, he asked us if everything was alright, like, you guys alright? But he was kind of spying on us, you know, and it was like a snitch. And there was a lot of tension, like everybody suddenly was kind of too tense. And I don't know why, but when the stranger told us that, I looked at my hand, and I was carrying a voice recorder inside as a Ziploc bag. I don't know why, but and it was like the recorder. I saw the recorder, and it was given emphasis in the dream. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it means like evidence, or like I was like I was recording the stranger who talked to us. I don't know, but I had a voice recorder in the dream, and it was like given emphasis in the dream, but I wasn't shown much about it, so I don't know what it means. And then I looked to my left, and I saw a man who had already taken the medication, and he was acting very hyper, like he couldn't stop moving, and he was telling people, like almost screaming, and he was like, I believe he was probably possessed, by demons. And he was screaming, he said, you gotta have this thing, you guys have to get this injection now. Like he was screaming it, and he was moving his arms everywhere and his legs, and he was so unnaturally hyper. Like it almost looked like, when it almost looked like when people are turning into zombies, but he was not a zombie. He didn't look like that, and he kind of looked like. And now I noticed that he could not control his movements, like, but he could speak and think, but he could not control his movements. And he looked like when toddlers can't stay still and they just keep moving. Well, he was kind of like that, but it was creepier because his physical appearance was kind of had changed a little bit from the medication, I think. So it was kind of scary. Then I noticed that the man was also looking at a TV screen, which was bombarding the viewers with so much propaganda for this medication. It was so much propaganda that it would drive you crazy. Like, I'm talking like way more than, like a lot more than the push for today's inoculations. Like, I saw in, like, the propagandas would go over and over on the TV. I saw I don't know why, but there were TVs in the roads, like along the road. There was a TV. There were TVs in the hospital where I was, in the restaurant, not restaurant, sorry, in the shopping place, in everywhere. There were TVs everywhere, so that everybody would keep listening to the same propaganda over and over again. So this announcements for this medication, they were so much. In fact, they even contained, I don't know why, they had this fanfare, this orchestra music. It was an orchestra-like music that, it sounded like when the Chinese party promotes something with, with orchestra songs and things like that. I also noticed on the propaganda that there was a figure in all these screens. There was this man, and I knew that it was the Beast in person promoting this. Throughout the dream, there were TVs everywhere on the streets, and also loudspeakers on the stores they were bombarding the messages to everybody, like 24/7. And that was the end of the dreams. So I hope you guys can understand that the details that Jesus mentioned in the Bible about the end times are probably more intense than we think, and we all have an idea of what the end times will be like, but we will never really know until we are living in it. As a child, I used to think that the birth pangs, the birth pangs also in the Bible, and they're referring to the beginning of sorrows, like before the end times, right before the tribulation. And as a child, I thought that these, like I thought that these things would be, um, I thought they were going to be kind of different, but these recent years have shocked me a lot, and I've never expected all these events like the way we're seeing them now. Like, I didn't expect the end times to be like this. So that's because we must understand that God's ways are not our ways, and His thoughts are above our thoughts, and His timing is His timing, not ours. So no matter what we have all thought that the end times will be, we have to ask God to show us how it will really be, not how we think or how we heard it's going to be. So that's all for now. And here's a scripture that I want to read before I finish. It is found on Isaiah 55, verse 9. And it reads, "For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And this is God referring to, His ways and His thoughts and how high they are from ours. So even if we don't, we will never understand 100% of everything, but He will. Well, He does understand. He knows what's going on. So this is further proof that we have to lean on Him and depend on Him in all that we know, in all the information that we know, and in everything that we believe. So thank you guys for watching. I know this was long, but the dream was also kind of long. But I felt that I had to share this because I feel that people have to prepare, not just for the disasters that are coming, but also, right, for those people who survive the disasters. I know that many people are gonna die. I don't know if I will die. I don't know, but to me, it doesn't matter because, anyways, and I know that I am here on this earth to do what God wants me to do. So if He tells me something, I'll do it, and I know that when the Lord lets me know that my work here is finished, then it's time for me to go. So really, I don't have fear of death, and you guys shouldn't have fear of death either. Because the devil wants people to have fear of death, because people see death as, they see it as the end of everything good, and it doesn't really make sense anyway, because this world is is no good. There's really nothing good here. But people say that because they don't know that Jesus is the only place where you will find real peace, where you will find people who love you, and where you will really find something good, because everything good comes from God. So, and you shouldn't have fear of death because even if people don't know how eternity is going to be, we have an idea, but we don't know. And because we don't know, people think that that is going to be like a waste of time, and that's not true. And now I like to share in another video, not recently, but maybe in some later videos eventually, when the Lord lets me, if the Lord wants me to do so, I will eventually share a dream that I had of some things that God showed me about how heaven is going to be. It wasn't that long, but the details are important, because people have to understand that it's not gonna be boring. It's not gonna be like you lost everything and that's it. No, that's Because anyway, everything on this earth is going down, right? All my possessions, everything that I have, everything that even the channel, my channel, I don't expect it to last forever, because I know that there's gonna be a time where God is going to speak, and then He won't speak anymore. So I'm doing this work as long as the Lord wants me to do it, and I understand personally that when this work is done, then the Lord will give me some other work. But until that time, I'll keep posting and I'll keep sharing what the Lord has given to me. And yes, so thank you for watching, and thank you for watching till the end, and may God bless you. Thank you.